Hello and welcome to the Life of the Kung Fu Master, episode 3. Hope you're doing well. Um, I've just jumped on here randomly. It's my third video. That's why it's episode 3. Live and not live, just unscripted, and see where we go. I do always have a theme for these channels or videos, and today is really on the subconscious self, if you like, or dealing with anxiety, or it could be getting out of your comfort zone. I don't know yet, we'll see. But what I was going to say, what I wanted, the theme I wanted to talk about is that we are emotional before we are logical. This is something I heard from one of my instructors a while back, and it's opened up a lot of doors to me. So what does emotional before we are logical actually mean? So basically, when we get stressed or when we get in our mind up here and things like that, we dwell on thoughts. I mean, anxiety is just worrying about the worst that can happen, and we think it comes up here, and we start to have a thought, and it comes in our heads. But all the time, guys, this is where meditation and that comes into. We actually feel it before we actually think it up here. This is how the body works. I mean, you just have to look at anxiety and things like that when we get the feelings in our stomach and things like that. So how does this help with life? By noticing what's going on. Okay, this is a bit of self-healing. I spent, I think it was about 1,600 quid once on a mentor for roughly about, I think it was about 6 months. And that was like one-to-one session, either every week or every couple of weeks. I can't quite remember now. And I've paid for a lot of mentorship in my time, life coaching and things like that. But this one mentor, he was always talking about sitting in your feelings, and we ignore this. Definitely us as blokes, okay, unless you're a woman, but we ignore what's going on in the body. Okay, we don't need it sort of, I don't know, airy fairy if you like, and things like that. Or the man thinks they know everything. But yeah, so anxiety will start here. Okay, so if you want to help with conquering things, okay, if you've got stuff that's worrying you and things like that, or stuff you want to deal with, sit with it, he used to say. Okay, and it was quite a strange one. I thought, God, it's a lot of money just for this. And to be fair, it was a lot of money for what I was paying for, just for this sort of therapy. But since then, I've used it so long. So really, that £1,600 has probably paid for itself in tenfold. I don't use it enough. I don't use this strategy enough, if you like. And that's my own barriers, because a lot of us get stuck in this way. We all want to improve on life, or most of us want to improve on life. But to actually improve, we have to dig deep. We have to really go within where it hurts. And this is why people don't sort of grow that much, because they always want to do what's easy. Okay, the subconscious place is to keep us safe. Okay, that's why it's so hard to quit smoking and things like that, which I'm not going to get quite into because it's a bit controversial. But it's because you've been smoking for quite a while, to your subconscious, that's what it's used to, and that's its safe thing. So it wants to keep you safe by allowing you to smoke and things like that. Okay, this gets deeper as you get into what I've said it NLP, if you like, okay, which I'll do a video on, just on NLP itself. So if you want to deal with stuff, you want to sit in this, and it is quite an emotional thing. Okay, it doesn't have to be, I'm pointing to my belly, but that's where a lot of stuff we get stuff in. But it could be up here, it could be here. Okay, definitely if you want to release stuff and look at the heart, definitely heart chakra, it'd be the heart that you feel stuff in and things like that. So it doesn't have to be necessarily in the belly, but you sit with it, and this takes quite a while. So this is, I mean, really, you're supposed to sit with it until you can feel it going. Most of us don't. Even though I struggle with doing this, and it's a great tool. I don't do it enough because it can get quite emotional. And most blokes, and this isn't necessarily a man channel, it could be for anybody, but I'm a bloke, so I can't speak for women. We don't like crying. We don't like releasing stuff. Okay, and this is why a lot of the stuff that I do, like Tai Chi and some of the well-being days, things like that, it's definitely the women that get emotional. They do get emotional, and they can start crying. And there's me, like, what are they crying about? it's not that bad. That's just because I'm not in touch properly down here. Okay, I will probably stop thinking or becoming aware of what's going down here before I start crying, because I don't want to cry. But then crying is such a good release. I'm not saying I don't want to cry. I actually do want to cry, but it makes me feel vulnerable. I'm not comfortable with crying, if you like. So that in itself, crying is a release. We all know crying releases stuff inside your body, and that's what that's why crying is such a good thing. So, and this is the same sort of tool. So basically, you're sitting in it, and the feelings get stronger. And what you're doing is a bit like meditation. It's just, I'm closing my eyes just for this purpose of the example here, is I'm thinking about or becoming aware of what's going on and just feeling it and sitting with it. This could be on any thoughts. Just say, I'm anxious. I've got a job interview tomorrow. Okay, or I've got to, like, I'm a boss. I might have to go in and give somebody some bad words, bollock them and things like that. Don't like doing things like that because I like to be a nice person. So I might get anxious. I'm going to start building it up in my head. But really, it's down here that it starts. So I would sit with it. Okay, and then feelings will bubble and they rise and they get stronger. But then they start to disappear again. Okay, but to keep sitting with it, because again, it's a subconscious not wanting you to sit with this stuff. So it's going to start to you're going to start to come back up here. But thinking, let's just have a sit with it until it's truly gone. And this can take anything up to, like, take an hour really as well sometimes. Hence why a lot of us don't do it, or we don't do it enough. But I swear by it, if you sit with these feelings long enough, you'll start to disappear things. Okay. So that's just one self-healing tool, if you like. And since since somebody put me onto this, if you like, it links up with so many other things I'm doing. Definitely the martial arts and things like that, really. And if you can, like gut feelings, for example, it happens in here. Most of us don't go by our gut feelings, things like that. And I'm not perfect at this. I don't do perfect anyway. But again, I'm really learning at this sort of stuff. But listening to your belly, listening to your heart is so important. And most of us don't do this. And I believe a lot of my struggles in life has been because I haven't been looking at stuff like this. We did a health and wellbeing day at our centre probably about a month ago now. It's the second one we've done. We haven't done the whole day before. We just did a couple of hours before. But most of them are women. Most of them turn up are women. I did a self-defence course last night. Majority of them are women as well. It's because men just think they've got it all sorted. Okay, I mean, we have a book of men are from Mars and women are from Venus or something like that. We are different people. Okay, and when a woman's got a problem, we want to solve it. Okay, we want to solve our own stuff. Okay, the advice or the quote, if you like, the answers are within. They actually are. Okay, and I've spoken about this before. I'm terrible for shiny objects, if you like. The next course, booking myself on the next course, spending loads of money. Okay, trying to find the answers all the time. But I mean, as I said, one of my Tai Chi instructors, Mr. Steve Rowe, brilliant martial artist, doesn't believe in mentorship so much. I don't think what I've worked out. Doesn't believe in seeing life coaches and things like that. But he meditates twice a day, daily, and that through meditation is when we get. I'm changing. I know I'm rambling a little bit, but it's all linked up. Through meditation is when we get clarity. To start with, when you start meditation, you're going to be sat there, and for probably about 2 seconds or so, and then a thought will come into your mind. Again, I will do another video on meditation itself again. A thought will come into your mind, and then you just sort of, once you realise that you're on a tangent, you just come back to whatever you're thinking about or become aware about, like the mantra, your breath, or a proper mantra. But that takes ages just to get good at it, and that's why they call it a practice. Okay, I don't believe there is such a thing as a bad meditation, because you're still working on stuff. But it's through the moments that you're not thinking that we get clarity. Okay, because that's what I'm saying. I've been studying the mind and how it works for years. I still don't class myself as an expert, but I've got a good knowledge and I've read a lot of stuff. I've talked a lot of stuff. I've done NLP and things like that through the martial arts and things like that. And this is my last video is about accepting myself, accepting ourselves, if you like. And yeah, everything, we seem to all operate from the frontal lobe up here. And again, what I was talking about the other day about going to your back and things like that to get rid of that thought process. Okay. It's that, Joe, as I said, like on the last video, accepting yourself. I'm not going to get rid of these thoughts. Okay, I might be able to quieten down the mind. Okay, by doing other stuff like doing martial arts, listening to music, meditation, just moving, exercise. Okay, that's how you quiet down the thoughts. When you're sat still all the time, when we're depressed and things like that, we're sat still. Okay, we can't be bothered to move, and we're constantly whamming, going over and over thoughts, and they get worse and worse and worse, and then we start spiraling down and things like that. And the best thing you can do when you are depressed is to get out in the open and do something, do some exercise, listen to music, start moving. But we don't feel like doing that. And the most of this is all because we're so up here. So we've got to learn to come down and feel what's going on. And so this is really important, guys. Okay, it's the first sign of self-healing, in my opinion. Okay, and just learning to understand about the mind. Okay, like where do your thoughts come from? Okay, have you ever thought about that? Okay, thoughts are just experiences. If you've never had an experience, okay, you'd never be able to think about that, if you know what I mean. And so everything you've been told in the past and things like that about yourself, or everything you've done, is stored up here. This is where the subconscious, and the subconscious obviously has to filter stuff. Okay, and we keep a lot of the stuff that's traumatized up here. Everything else gets filtered to the back. Hence why hypnotherapy is so good and things like that, because it brings things back up into the open. Okay, and not necessarily, hopefully good things. Okay, hypnotherapy in its own can be a bad thing. Sometimes people can have very traumatic experiences from it if it's not done properly, things like that. So I am hypnotherapy trained as well. So again, I'm just showing my credentials about. I still can't class myself as an expert, but I do have a lot of knowledge about this stuff. And again, it stems from martial arts as well, because I want to learn how to control this up here. Okay, so this is just another reason why it's such a good thing, really, just to move. Okay, I'm not advocating. Well, I am advocating martial arts, but I'm not. I'm not telling you it doesn't have to be your thing. Dancing, same thing. Okay, any exercise, playing pool, like I said before, I used to be a good pool player. Gets me out of my mind as well. Okay, and it is hard. I'm not saying it's easy, but we make it harder, don't we? Okay, so that's just a little bit about self-healing, meditation, if you like, but I will do a separate video on meditation. I just wanted to tell you about the self-healing and just sitting with this. It's a good tool. I've got so many tools out there, and I'm not the best at doing them, but my knowledge of knowing about them, okay, I do bring them into my life. Okay, maybe I should, if I get a day off and don't procrastinate, just sit there and do a whole day of self-healing, which I do at work, but not myself so much. Okay, so it's really, if you want to get better, guys, just stop moaning about it. Okay, and just do stuff about it. And this is therapy for me, talking on video. Okay, I'm hoping going to get better. Just watching my pauses. I've noticed, or I've watched back my videos, and I've noticed I'm going every now and then with some fluid in my mouth and things like that, little things like that. Okay, but yeah, now I'm waffling again. So that's the end of this video, guys. It's just a little bit about self-healing and about our thought process and things like that. So yes, I'll finish off the way I do, and I still can't remember my thing I said at the end properly, but I know that the mind is the worst enemy, and you've got to shut that shit up sometimes. Something like that. And I will have it on the wall one day, okay, soon, and have that little slogan at the end of the videos. Anyway, thank you for listening, guys, and I will see you very soon.